Hi, this is Tiara. I'm not sure if you've spotlighted me as well, or will you
I
guys
did.
spotlight us as we're switching?
Hi, Tiara. I spotlight. Made you a co-host so that you can do that.
Thank you.
We did. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. Let me, and I need to pause this meeting here, resume. Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, May 19th. This is the May public meeting of ANC 5D's Zoning and Development Committee. I hope everybody's doing well. We check the panelists and attendees. We've got about 8 people in attendance tonight, including interpreters. Let me just quickly go to a share screen. Actually, I'm going to talk about the agenda on tonight's agenda. We've got a few things. One is a quick update on BZA case 20709. That was the case that ANC 5D voted on actually just a week ago. And we're going to talk about BZA case 20766, which is application for 1313 West Virginia Ave. That's for construction of a garage. We're going to discuss a matter of right project that is planned for 1925 H Street. One of the commissioners has asked us to take a look at some plans that have been submitted. The neighbor has a deadline of tomorrow to submit any concerns. And the fourth and final item on the agenda, the planned agenda, is a discussion of some illegal construction at 1637 L Street Northeast. Now that construction is temporarily actually paused. I spoke with the adjoined homeowner today, but the homeowner just has some concerns, so I'm going to raise this here. And that's all on the upfront. We did have a tentative presentation for a PUD, but the applicant for the PUD is going to wait until they have a one-on-one meeting with Commissioner Rhodes in the coming weeks. They don't have a set schedule hearing, so it's not an urgent, imminent matter. So before I begin, do any of the commissioners here have anything else they want to add to the agenda or discuss? Okay. All right, with that, I am going to share my screen, and I'm going to bring up this BZA case. How do I do this? Oh, there's share screen. Okay, let me just share the whole. 2 seconds. I just want to share my entire screen. Sorry about this. And it is. I wonder why is it not letting me share my entire screen? Who can share?
Did you hit the share screen at the bottom?
I have. The issue is it's not allowing me to share my entire screen. I would like just to share my entire desktop, and instead it's not letting me do that. So it'll be a lot of, and I typically like to jump back and forth between a lot of different views. I'd like to go to the Firefox so I can show people Google Maps of the. So I wonder, am I no longer the co-host, or is there something about this that I have? This is interesting. Commissioner Moore, have you ever run into that issue?
I have not.
This is weird.
Could it be because you have multiple co-hosts?
Let me try something here.
I have never tried to do multiple co-hosts. when using that feature on Zoom.
It should not be that. It's happened several times before, but you can try it. But you all will have
Yeah,
to take care of spotlighting.
yeah, let me try to,
If it is causing that, then then Zoom needs to be let know they have a serious problem.
um, this is just very frustrating. I apologize for this, everybody. I've never had this happen before. The button just always worked. Okay, all right. Well, look, what I'm going to try to bring up is I'm going to start with I'm going to share Firefox so that folks can get some context. Okay, are you seeing Firefox on my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so the property under question is not that one. It is this one. I'll orient the map north. I'm just going to zoom out. So we've got Trinidad over here. Oops, sorry.
What's the property address we're looking at? It's not the
Address is
1313.
1313 West Virginia
Oh, it is 1313 West. Okay, I thought you were doing
Yes,
the
it
other
is.
one first. Okay.
Ave. You know what? Let's go 1313. You're right. I was going to give an update on the solar, but I got distracted by my Zoom issues here. Anyway, we're going to talk about 1313 West Virginia Ave. It is this property here, and they have applied for zoning relief to build a 2-car garage. I'm going to switch over now to, unfortunately, I have to stop sharing. I'm going to show you photographs from their
Packet.
case record. Okay, this is how the rear of that property currently looks. So they've actually enclosed their backyard with a concrete block wall, and so that's the current setup. It looks like I think the wall might even jog in here a little bit just to give room, but the property line does go back square here. So that's the current state of the back of the house. And now let me see if I can bring up the plans. I'm going to share the plans here. Exhibit 5. So, you seeing the plans?
First page of the plans.
Okay, good. All right. So, what they would like to do is they want to create an opening in that block wall 16 feet wide. And they want to actually do some steps in the masonry. I think there's a picture here. Let me.
Kevin, I'm wondering if one of those variances is actually moving the telephone pole. Because if you look at the
I don't
plan,
think so. They can't do that. That's not their
Okay.
property. No, it's all within what they have. So basically, this is the proposed idea. They would like to build a 2-car garage here, and they have some steps up the back. They also want to have a rooftop deck in the garage, and that's how it'll kind of appear. The proposed height is about 12'9". DCRA is considering this an accessory building. I believe the height regulations for accessory buildings is 22 feet. So it's not like they're building an accessory dwelling unit, that goes up 22 feet. They're just doing a garage. And I think there was another image. This might be useful here for a top-down view. So this is the back of the house. They've got French doors, and they basically want to build this patio out the back that almost connects with the garage. And there's a walk down over here for egress out the back. And looks like they're putting in an single overhead garage door on this side here, and they're doing a roll-up door on this side. That's the general plans. And they're also having a walk up on top of the garage roof. it looks like they've got some, I think one of the architects wants to tell me, what does this M symbol mean? I think it's probably, is this a light or is it an outlet? Oh, is that liquid propane? Is that a gas tank? I'm not sure what these are.
I have no clue. Where's the key? It should explain that.
Lights.
Those are lights.
Yeah. So
Where's the deck in that one? It looks like it's gone missing.
so let me just look at the, continue to look at some of these views here. That's the foundation plan, framing plan. Let me see if which of the views had showed the deck. Existing deck structure. Okay, so at the back of the house, when you walk out, they do want to have existing deck structure. Side view from the neighbor to the south. That's a view from the, I guess, looking from the east. And this is looking from the west.
They're redoing their windows, the current window arrangement upstairs in the house too then. So I think that's different than what you see in the current photos.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to stop the share and I would like to share their, they have some other documents, which is their burden of proof. Now again, let me see if I can share my screen. Nope, still can't share my screen. This is just unreal. I don't know why I can't share my screen. Did I like lose my co-host abilities or something? ANC 5D co-host, ANC 5D zoning. Interesting. Let me find, what I'd like to do is show exhibit 3. Which is a letter from the Boarding of Zoning Adjustment, the zoning administrator, Matthew LeGrand, and they reviewed the plans, and these are the sections of the zoning regulations that they need to get relief from. So it's subtitle E 304.1, subtitle E 5201.2, and these are variances, mind you, not special exceptions. So actually, I should clarify. We often deal with special exceptions. It's not common when we need variances. So they actually are looking for 2 variances and 1 special exception. And the special exception is E206.4, and then 2 variances, E304.1 and E5201.2. Now, let me see if I can. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Actually, before I share something else, I'd just like to invite some comments from some of the people here who are looking at these plans. And what are your initial feedback and thoughts?
I mean, I'll give you mine. This is Commissioner Moore. It's a lot, it's just a lot. And then to see that basically the zoning administrator has laid out here that this is a case for 2 variances and a special exception to get this done. I mean, I think it's excessive, and I'd be curious to hear from the next door neighbor. I'm not opposed to a garage, for them to have access to do that. But this just seems like we're stepping into some territory here where we might be setting some precedents for the rest of that block that other people would not enjoy. and that it really would likely impact the neighbor more so than previous cases we've seen where the adjoining neighbor maybe had a similar garage set up or a similar deck set up. So it just seems like a lot.
I likewise, I have concerns about the covering essentially the entire lot with structures. That could impact way water flows and a few things like that. I don't know which neighbor they've discussed, but if the flow of water changes, it could impact the neighbor across on others across the alleys too.
Mhm.
Because
No, I
it's not a
don't-
good idea to macadam everything, essentially.
Yeah,
It leads to
I don't
flood.
think I don't think that they'll be able to modify the actual alley grades.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, say you macadam your entire backyard. Then there's no surface for water to get down into the soil beneath, and it creates runoff that then floods into the alleys. Things like that. That's a problem they're having in Alexandria along Cameron Run. They've covered too much of the surface with structures and parking lots and things like that. And it's leading to ever increasing floods along Cameron Run. I'm just pointing that out. You've got a lot of concrete around there already.
Well, I think one of my concerns is like, there is something there. So subtitle E3 or 4.1, that is a lot of occupancy. And matter of right, you can build up to 60% lot occupancy. Now I look at their burden of proof statement, and I don't see where they're telling us what percentage they actually hit. Oh, actually they do. They're going to hit 72%. 72%.
I suspect that house is already at the 60%.
There's just something about, I think it goes against like the spirit of the intent of the RF1 zone. It's not like it's not supposed to be a residential apartment zoning where you can have the vast majority of the entire lot become a building. It's not like mixed use, residential apartment. Like the RF is meant to be, the intent of zoning regulations was to have like a house and a yard, and here it's becoming all structure. And I think I would be worried that 2-3 years from now they're adding another story to this, and the whole place is just a house with a 22-story. I mean, that's not what they're proposing, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then that's matter of right. Yeah.
I
My
kind of
issue
think
is the
this-
deck. My issue
Like-
is the deck. I don't necessarily see a problem with a covered garage because I've seen some of those in Trinidad, and you know what? Honestly, they're nice, and it is a luxury to be able to have, especially on a corner lot. I understand the intent, but I think the deck is opening the door exactly like what you're saying, Kevin, with the potential to make it larger in the future. So I think if it was just a garage and had a real roof on it, for whatever, I think that would be something different. But yeah, I think the deck is kind of the breaking point as far as I'm concerned.
oh, so not the deck at the back of their house. You mean the rooftop deck on top of the garage, or which?
Yeah.
Which okay, so your concern is the rooftop deck on top of the garage.
Yes. I mean, I think the garage makes sense, but I think from a privacy standpoint, everybody on their block, they'd be able to look right down into their backyards and even across the alley too. I mean, it's
Okay, yeah, no, I see that. Yeah, when they're on top of their rooftop deck, they're looking down into their neighbors' yards,
Yeah.
which you could all say you can do from your second story window as well. It's not like there's only so much privacy in a row house neighborhood. But I'm just thinking about like, I just worry about that becomes a garage, and then a year later it becomes an Airbnb, or they add it's a very easy thing to go from a single story garage to somebody saying, I'm going to add a second story to this. And now it's an accessory dwelling unit. And we would never normally, I haven't seen the ANC be supportive of this amount of density on an RF1 zone lot.
Yeah, I would
70%
have
is pretty.
concerns, like, would we allow the same density on every single house on that block? You know, if this was a precedent and the rest of those houses next to them were to provide, you know, build garages in the back that are over their, you know, over their built area, is that something that is that a precedent that we would accept? And it seems to me that it's a little bit too large for that. The
Mhm.
2-car garage. I mean, maybe a 1-car garage or a structure that's a little bit smaller. But I think we're setting a precedent for these smaller lots that we're willing to allow them to maximize their property, completely build it out, and let them almost match what one of these much larger lots is able to do. And that may be an argument that they have. You know, they have a lot that has this challenge or deficiency in that it is a smaller lot, and are they justified in asking for the variance because they want to build this, you know, 2-car garage on it? That's kind of a question for us, I think.
Quick
And
question
I
I
think
have.
I agree with that completely. And I think I would be much more comfortable if this were a project that said, okay, we want a single car garage, because the 2-car garage, that's massive. You know, I have a single car garage, and that's a big garage. I mean, let's be honest, for, you know, our narrow little lots that some of us have for townhouses. So, I mean, I think it's just, it's massive. And I think the detour that it takes from the zoning is also tremendously significant. I can't remember a time when I've seen a request that included 2 variances and a special exception.
Yeah, I don't either. It's
Yeah.
it's a tall ask. It's difficult precedent. Now, and I should clarify, I was writing up the agenda for last night for today's meeting, and I took a peek at the zoning case record, and I saw this, and I think this application just went in about a week ago, and I reached out, but it was late last night, to the applicant, asking if they or their architect or the homeowner wanted to come, because their hearing is scheduled for July, and I believe the ANC doesn't have. You guys usually have off July and August. Is that the
Yes.
expectation for this summer?
Mhm.
Yes.
So they really have one opportunity to come and present before the ANC for a vote before you guys are off for the summer. And I think the BZA is always shut down for all of August as well. So that's why the
Yeah.
ANC schedule kind of aligns with that. So they haven't responded. We can push them again, but you know, this is probably something that, whether they present or not, may want to be on the ANC's agenda so that you guys can have a vote and weigh in and submit an ANC report prior to their July hearing.
I mean, to be honest, I think what I'd request in this situation is an extension. I mean, I think we have really strong grounds for one. This is a huge ask that they have. They haven't been responsive. And I didn't see, at least in the case file that we looked at, you know, support from the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just have big doubts about the awareness and the education of the adjacent property owner, or even the alley neighbors as well. So
I can reach out to them, taking into account the ANC schedule. The first time you would have an opportunity. Now they could do some groundwork this summer.
mhm.
The first time you would then have an opportunity to vote on it would be at the September meeting.
Yeah.
So you would probably want them to postpone until October.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take notes here.
Kevin, one thing I looked when you were pulling the plans up, you're concerned about a second story. I think that might be a concern because it looked like those footings were going down a couple of feet.
Yeah, we'd have to take a look at that. I mean, I might do the exact same thing. If I was building a single story structure, it doesn't cost that much. But by the way, I had some retaining walls that when I'm doing a renovation of my house right now, and I was shocked. This is a retaining wall. There's nothing even built on it, and the footers went down quite. You'd be surprised. Those
Yeah.
footers actually are probably just what's required just for a single story structure.
Mm-hmm.
With a roof on it. Now maybe the architect, Andrew, if you want to take a look at the drawing and tell us if that footer tells you anything about their future plans. But having recently put some footers in the back of my house just for retaining walls so we can have a patio at the basement level, I was shocked at how much rebar and poured concrete went in.
Oh, you think they're overbuilding the footers for a future next story?
Yeah, potentially.
The brief look I've seen of them, they just struck me as being, the way I read it, they went down multiple feet. And I don't know what the rules are, but it struck me as what Kevin was saying, a possible second story is potentially in the works at some point.
Actually, I'm looking at it now, and their footer is 3 feet wide. That is a substantial footer for a single story structure.
I mean, granted, it's for an automobile to have automobiles, but nonetheless.
Yeah, it's hard to tell just based on the drawings because the footers are going to be designed based on soil conditions. So if the soil is really terrible, they could be very large footings. And the depth of the footing is related to frost depth. So 3 feet down, probably about right for this region. And then a 3 foot wide footer for a block wall. That seems about right for that type of building. So just based on kind of a 30-second thought exercise, it doesn't seem completely oversized to me.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe let's take a look at another case because it's doubtful that we'll be making a decision on this anytime in the near future. I mean, I think we've got solid grounds for an extension here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Commissioner, I will reach out to them and just let them know. Let's see if I can do. I'm trying to now. I'm going to move forward to the next, which is a BZA case you guys have actually just voted on. You voted it was a conditional support at the last meeting, but I just wanted to say this was for BZA case 20709, and it was for a second story. It was for a special exception for it was for some zoning relief from the rear yard setback on the second story for second story being added to a restaurant at what was formerly Big Chiefs, and I forget now the name of the new restaurant's going to become. But the one minor wrinkle there is that the condition that the ANC put on when they voted last week was that they get a zoning analysis, a shading analysis done because the adjoined property does have a solar system, and we wanted that performed and submitted into the case record. And I just want to say that I think it was the attorney or the architect did reach out to me. They are doing that. They reached out to like 5 or 6 different solar companies, and they'd asked me who was the actual company who installed that system. And I found that out from just pulling up the permits on scout.dc.gov. And so I provided them the contact information, cell phone, email of the company, of the people I'd spoken to who installed that system. So it does seem like, good faith, they're making some progress here. They're going to try to get the solar analysis done, and I will follow up with them to do that. I don't think there's going to be a significant impact. And by significant, I mean more than 5%. And I think it's how the DCRA does DCRA define significant as more than 5% or more than 15% for solar systems impact shading? I think it's 5.
I think it is 5.
I don't think there's going to be a significant impact, because normally when people have an impact, like I've got about a 25% impact on my solar system, but it's because someone went up an entire story. They're not going up the other building there's already a structure there. I don't think the impact's going to be that much. But it will be what it will be, and it will be public, and it'll be submitted into the public case record. So that's the update on that. Next on the agenda, there is a matter of right discussion. I'm going to mix it up here to get the easy one out of the way first. 1637 L Street Northeast, and that is a property a few doors down from, you guys know where Jimmy Valentine's is on Bladensburg Road. It's just down L Street there a little bit. The homeowner reached out to the ANC, was concerned that some people were performing some construction and had basically gutted the entire interior of the house, were doing interior framing, and then provided him a copy of plans they wanted him to support. And it was like a 30-foot addition. And I checked DCRA zoning, the DCRA's permitting system, and I do see that they've got a zoning review on. I do see they've got permits pending, but they're being, they've been receiving a lot of comments from the reviewers as recently as May 10th. So they do not yet have permits. There is no, according to the homeowner, who lives at the adjoined property, there's been no recent construction. There's no evidence that they have extended the footers or the foundation back. So right now it's just kind of in limbo. They're going to have to go to, anything beyond 10 feet requires zoning relief. So I suspect they have to go, they will be told that they need to go for the BZA. But it sounds like they're trying everything to not go to the BZA, and they've got some other zoning review they've requested, but I just can't see how they will. The conclusion is not going to be, you need to go do a BZA case to get zoning relief. I encourage the homeowner in a phone call today to contact DCRA to ensure that they know that he knows and he's paying attention, because people are not perfect and people can make mistakes, and we just need to be sure that the right result of these zoning reviews is that there needs to be a BZA case, to go beyond 10 feet, and certainly not 30 feet. I think the way they basically drawn those particular lots, let's see if I can share my screen again. I will do that. If I can share my browser. Firefox, share. All right, let's see if I can find this. There. Okay, so just to orient, I'm going to zoom out so folks can get a context. You all seeing my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's Trinidad and Carver Langston on the right. Just going to zoom in over here. And the construction is occurring at this house that you see the garage here. And basically the plans call for doubling the house all the way back to here and then removing the garage. And then you can bet that there's going to be a parking pad back here. So basically that was what their plans showed. And again, this does not seem like a reasonable, this does not seem in keeping with RF1 zoning. And I should point out, yes, these homes here are zoned RF1. So there's no action here, no yet BZA case yet, except the homeowner needs to contact DCRA just to see if he can find out who is the zoning reviewer for this case, to be sure that the zoning reviewer is paying attention and to the fact that the neighbors have concerns. Does anyone on any of the members right now know? Is there a particular point of contact who we should recommend the homeowner contact?
In regards to what? I only heard part of it.
At DCRA or zoning to inquire, like they basically want to interject themselves into the permit review process, and there's also a zoning review process where the homeowner had asked to I'll find it here.
Oh, I would look to see the name of the particular reviewer and email them at dc.gov.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
it's
really
not
how I would
listed.
do it. Oh,
Yeah, I tried that myself. So my advice to them today was to just call D3A main number, and usually within a couple calls, they should be able to find that out. But let me just take that note here.
usually it does show, so that's strange. I mean, they could also just email Matt LeGrant to see who's assigned. And then I'd suggest definitely CC your ANC commissioner.
See if I can remember my, let's see if this works. All right, this is the website here. What did I say the address was?
1367.
Maybe I didn't. 1637 L Street.
1637.
1637 L Street, Northeast. And you also see my screen here? So these are permits. Okay, yeah. So this is the one I saw. There's like a zoning review that has been submitted. And this is the new, there's a postcard building permit. I think they use this to do some demo work, but this is the main, you know, it's weird. They've got a bunch of smaller permits. There's supplemental for, these are some old permits here. Supplemental, these are usually permits that somebody pulls under a larger permit. I didn't see that there's a permit from 2020, construction alteration. So those are probably, that application is canceled. That permit isn't listed. It's just accepted the project docs. Construction, this was, yeah, I don't see an issued permit.
So are you saying they've ripped the stuff out in the house without permits?
Well, that was the issue. I think there was an old permit, and they're probably exceeding the scope. The homeowner called into DCRA. The adjoined homeowner called into DCRA, and DCRA sent somebody out on a day there was nobody working in there. And even though you could see in through the windows that the entire interior has been gutted and there is fresh framing, the DCRA inspector finding was there was nothing going on, even though there's clearly a construction site. So that's why the homeowner is, you know, concerned that, you know, when there's clearly, that you just call, the guy showed up on a day when the people weren't there, but he's told me on the phone today they're not there right now. What I'm trying to find is the construction. Yes, this is the one I was looking for. So this is the building permit 22-04414. And there used to be more detail on here, Commissioner Moore, where you could click on it and it would tell you the name of the people. This is all I can see right now. But they're getting lots of, you know, looks like they submitted these back in late February, and they've just been going through and getting comments for correction, including from the zoning reviewer.
yeah.
And
I would ask Matt LeGrant who's assigned. That,
Okay.
I mean, that's how I would handle that. And make sure to CC the ANC commissioner.
Okay, we'll do. All right. Let me stop sharing the screen. Or was I not sharing my screen there?
No, I don't see anything.
I apologize. For the past 10 minutes, I thought everyone was looking at my my Firefox as I was going into the Scout website, and I thought I was sharing. I'm sorry about that. All right, the final issue on the agenda tonight was a discussion of a matter of right project at 1925 8th Street Northeast. And let me see if I can bring up the plans for that. And Commissioner, would you want to give a quick intro while I try to bring up some documents for that?
Sure. So as Kevin stated, this is a matter of right project. You know, this is the same developer that did 1915 H Street Northeast, but you have to recall that the zoning changed during that project. So this developer owned both properties a few doors down from each other. This is now under the RF4 4 zoning, that he is doing construction on 1925 or seeking permits. I don't know that he'll actually do the work. He might sell with permits in place. But at 1925 H Street Northeast, we've got a senior neighbor next door, and she's just looking to, get a review and some feedback for any potential concerns. It is matter of right, according to what's submitted here.
Okay, so what is interesting about this project that we haven't seen this before, and I think we've even joked about this might happening in the past, is that there is an adjoined chimney on the shared property line. And I shared the wrong screen here. Let me see if I can the right one. Make sure which one is this. Get the name of the file.
1915 is that white building, right? With the
Yes.
weird sort of mansard roof thingy.
Yeah, the dormer windows.
Okay.
Yeah. Apologize, this isn't a PDF here. It is just a photograph of the plans. But what they have done on the 3rd story, if you can see, is they've actually chopped out a 10-foot radius from the 3rd story in order to meet the 10-foot building code rule for ventilation of chimneys. So what perhaps otherwise could have been a 3-bedroom floor is instead a 2-bedroom floor, which is surprising. It's innovative. I'm surprised they didn't just approach the adjoined homeowner and offer to retire the chimney by updating their heating system to a combi boiler that just does direct vent and just retire that whole chimney altogether. I think that would have been more cost effective for everybody than building this type of structure, which will just be more difficult to waterproof and everything. But that's what's in the proposal. It's a matter of right construction. And by that I can assume it's only going back 10 feet beyond the adjoining neighbor.
Right. Here's my question. From my understanding, the lots are about 17, 18 feet wide. Is there not a minimum width? I mean, how does that meet that standard? Yeah, I mean, it's my understanding that there's a minimum building width. I don't know how it applies in this context.
So this is that width you're asking about would be that little connecting corridor from the bedroom up to the bathroom in the north side.
Yeah.
Is that some type of deck that they have going out there?
I think I can. Sorry, this is a photograph. I think there is a deck here.
I think there is too.
And I think these are these doors? Are these patio doors?
They may well be. In which case, the width would be the entire thing, really, in a manner of speaking, because the deck would be living space.
So yeah, I think technically they could get pretty narrow as long as it's safe for a person to walk through that corridor. And there's different widths required depending on different uses. So what they show here doesn't look like it's violating any type of building, I'll say life safety building codes or ADA type of codes.
Okay.
But I do think it's kind of strange that they're doing this.
Yeah, I mean, and then what happens when that neighbor goes up? You have a deck that faces a wall. I mean,
Well, if that neighbor goes up, it means the chimney then also goes up, and then it means that this could have been filled in, because it means if they're going up, it means the chimney's also getting elevated. But most new construction, they're going to modern combi boilers. You know, people just don't want to lose any space to chimneys and have,
Yeah.
you know, they just take up a lot more room. I shouldn't say that. Actually, I would say most of the, whenever I'm nosy and if I go to an open house, they generally put in the cost-effective systems. Combi boilers are not cost-effective. They're nice if you're doing it for your own home, but not for flippers that generally don't install those.
Kevin, can you scroll to the right so we see that other, I think it's, what's the roof plan?
Yes, this is the roof. It says, this word here says inaccessible roof. Inaccessible
I mean,
roof.
inaccessible?
Oh, this is something
Prefab
metal
metal.
trellis supplier. Prefab metal trellis supplier to provide something, cut sheets for review prior to erection. So it looks like they want to have a kind of a decorative trellis over this.
Yeah, I thought it
Oh,
might
it's
have been a
probably still-
skylight, but it looks like it's kind of like an open trellis type of thing.
That would then definitely indicate that's probably a deck beneath it.
Yeah.
And then the other question is, are they set back enough from her skylight?
Oh, is there a
The adjoining neighbor has a skylight.
I've never.
Oh, is that what that is? A
there
skylight that they're trying to stay away from?
Well, there's a chimney.
I think
It
it's a
looks like
chimney.
they're definitely trying to stay away from, but then there's also a skylight there as well, which I don't see any indication of.
I believe
I
that
don't
is the
think-
skylight that we're looking at. That would make more sense. That
This?
is like the top of it, that X looking thing, that X in a box. That is what some of these older skylights look like little glass pyramids. And so what it looks like they're doing, this makes a little bit more sense to me now. They are trying to preserve the natural light into that skylight for the neighbor. And so they're building away from it. I don't know.
So then maybe I'm confused as to where the property line is here, because is that green space, is that their property? It looks like yes to me.
I think it is. I think it might actually be green space, maybe.
Well, this is the property. There's the property line right there.
Okay, and then rear setback.
It goes up. So this guy, I mean, I can't imagine the skylight. I don't know. This looks like one of these chimneys that kind of like is built into the party wall between two properties.
I think it is. Because my house has the same layout as this house.
What is the address?
The skylight should be more central into the middle of the property, because it is how you get light in your bathroom.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't make sense for it to be right on the party wall there.
Yeah.
Go to 1925 8th Street. So I can just see. There we go. So Andrew, are we in agree? Okay, there it is. All right. Yeah, the chimneys between the two properties. That's what we're looking at. And the skylights there are skylights, but they're centered.
I think we're seeing your other screen.
And her skylights actually, oh, sorry, let me do that. Stop share. Let me share Firefox. Okay, so this is 1925H. This is the rear, and this is where the construction is occurring.
Yes.
So, yeah, they have an existing skylight here. They've got a chimney here. Is the neighbor who's concerned? Does she live over here, or are we? Oh, it's right.
Is yeah.
So yeah, and that's the shared chimney on the back here. Can't quite see it, but yeah, there's a shared chimney right on the shared property line, and they're clearly, they're probably going back 10 feet. Yeah, and if I look at the plans, they're going back about 10 feet.
So there really
They're actually
shouldn't be
going-
probably a privacy concern for that skylight.
No,
don't
their
think so.
skylight isn't coming into this whatsoever. Their skylight on the plans. Yeah, no, what they're doing is they're replacing this structure with an all new structure. They're tearing off the old wood porch and they're going 10 feet. I'm quite sure if I look at the plans, that they're going 10 feet beyond the existing. And my
Mhm.
guess is they're staying within the 60% lot occupancy of RF. So this is RF4 now, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's definitely a different approach that we've done. I'm just disappointed. I did look at it. I think there's no 3-bedroom. I don't think there's any family size units in this. I think they're all like 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2.5 bath units.
Mhm.
So I think, I'm just kind of disappointed to see what I think could have been a family size unit here. And they're doing this weird patio here. And I'm surprised that they're not taking advantage of the entire rooftop patio on the,
Mhm.
above them to do that. So, yeah. So that's, Commissioner Moore, if you want to reach out to the neighbor, or is there anything that we could do to facilitate a conversation between the developer and the neighbor? I'm not sure if
No,
how well
I
they're.
mean, I think I can handle that. I've dealt with this developer before, and the neighbor, I'll just walk over there, maybe tonight, and just speak with her and just let her know, hey, we gave it a review. This is what's going on.
Yeah,
And
from
I'll
zoning perspective,
facilitate some conversation there, because that does seem like an odd choice. And I think she is kind of more open to a conversation than the developer believes, but I'll speak with her about that.
yeah. I mean, if they can make that a family size unit, they should be able to sell that unit for an extra 150, 200K just for
Mhm.
going from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. So to me, it would be a win-win-win for everybody. And they can upgrade her heating system to a modern combi boiler, something more efficient, and maybe she can negotiate something else. But like even just getting a combi boiler upgrade would be nice, and it would allow the developer to build a family size unit.
Yeah,
So
yeah, much more logical option.
So that is the last item on the agenda for tonight. Unless anyone wants to, was there anything else? Any community concerns? Skip, I know you've been sending some emails about some unsafe construction sites that you've noticed.
Yes, I let Decra know today after the email he sent me last night. 1724 H Street has I think it's their idea of like a wall to surround property. But the front one that's by the sidewalk, it's at about a 30-degree angle now. And I went by it yesterday and it's gone a little bit further than it had been before. And my concern is that the soil and everything that's behind it, if it goes down, it's going to fall over the sidewalk and into the street and could impact any cars that are parked there.
Yeah. Did you call 311 to report this already?
I called 311. They connected me over to DCRA. I was on the phone for 30 minutes with DCRA. They sent me a form to fill in, on a link to their website to fill in a form for illegal construction. The building seemed to have all the proper permits, the best I could figure. But that front has me very concerned. And you also have the wood on the sides that are falling inward.
Yeah.
And nobody was working on it when I went by yesterday, when I walked by it. But they were working on it the day I took the photo, which was last week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen
I
that one, and I think I've talked to Mark Anthony about who's our person at DCRA.
Okay.
About scheduling a review. But this was part of the problem that we discussed with DCRA last month, is that these take too long because they don't have enough staff.
Right.
That's officially their staff and not just people who are freelancing or contractors that they have come out and conduct the reviews, and someone who's on their staff needs to review this.
What I don't want to see happen is that building becoming another 1835.
Yeah.
So, Skip, one thing I would recommend is also taking a picture and tweeting that
Yeah.
at DCRA. I mean, it gets their attention.
Okay.
You can't do it every day because then they'll just mute and block you or something. But I think, the right thing to do is to call DCRA. It's not we're not community enforcers. Our job is just, if we see something that we know is violating building safety code, we can notify the people, the civil servants whose job it is to perform the inspections.
Mhm.
But you do that, always do that. Always call DCRA, notify them, and give them the opportunity to do the right thing. But then immediately tweet it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that way, they'll see
It definitely gave me the willies walking up the sidewalk under it.
Yeah.
It literally went over my head.
Yeah.
That wall was above my head. It's not a comfortable feeling.
Yeah, and I would include 311. I mean, I have a long history of sort of tweeting about these things at 311, and they'll give you a tracking number. And I think the difference there is that then when you do go to complain to the higher ups, if there is no review or you're not satisfied, you have a tracking number for your complaint.
Okay. I'm learning the ropes on this, so.
Mhm.
Okay. Also, I forgot, I didn't have my phone on me, so I couldn't take a photo. Just thought I'd mention this, Ms. Moore. The new building that's being built at 20th and I, do you know, where they've torn down they've torn down the old building and they're beginning.
Yeah, I know 20th and I, yeah.
They're leaving the door open that goes in. They have a chain door. I've seen it open 2 nights in a row now. It's just
Same thing.
open.
That's a 311 complaint.
Okay. Because you can walk into the thing if you had the mind to do so, and I don't.
So
think
311. I mean, that's the
Okay.
answer for that.
Okay, I will call them tomorrow.
Mhm. Okay, I'm actually going to leave you guys because I do want to try to catch this neighbor before it's
Sure.
too late, since her paperwork's
Oh,
due
most certainly.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna wrap up. So everybody, thank you so much for attending and appreciate community concern. And I've got some notes here. I'll be following up on those other BZA cases. So hope everyone is staying safe and have a great week. Cheers.